Oh, hi, it's Sandra here again, and I thought I'd do another video. A lot of people's asked what to serve with your turkey on Thanksgiving or Christmas. So, sides and desserts and things like that that are low carb. Some of the stuff I'm going to show you is low carb because technically apples aren't keto. And I'm going to do an apple crisp, I'm going to do pumpkin custard, I'm going to do squash. I'm going to do some rolls. They're fathead rolls that are really good. So I'm going to just do a few quick little videos to kind of show you what I'm doing. I've got some pumpkin already cut up and cooked. And little trick I made. When I cut my pumpkin, I always have this one little spot here that's got the jog in it, so that when I put the top back on, it will seal it so that it don't dry out. Then when you cook it, and then when you open it up, it's not dried out. So it just helps hold the moisture in. If it kind of seals almost that way. So, and now I'm going to show you how I did that with a squash. And I've got a squash right here. This one here will fit in the microwave pretty good. And I'm going to show you two different ways to do the squash. So this one here, I like to use a fairly large butcher knife. Maybe I'll use a smaller one for this because this is the soft end. This end of your your squash is thick and it's hard to cut. But this end is fairly thin, so it really don't cut too bad. So basically, I just make sure your knife is angled like a so that it's got the ledge to sit on. Don't go straight down from here because then it'll just drop down in, and we don't want that. So it's like a so, and we just cut around it. Don't have to be fancy or anything, except when just before I get around, which I'm not around yet, we'll go some more. Oops, I was around. I did put this jog in it, and that jog will help me place it where I need to place it. So now we're going to just scoop out all these seeds. And I don't salt it before I cook it, partly because I used to, but my mom, she's on a low sodium diet, and I'll go ahead and cook it up, and then I'll take some out for her, and the rest I'll prepare by, I like just mashed squash. I'm not going to put any brown sugar or anything like that in it. I really don't need it. I never have eaten my squash that way. But if you think you have to have brown sugar in your squash, swerve brown sugar would work. So basically, you just clean it out like that. Then you'll clean out the bottom half. And as you can see, this is pretty thin. But this gets thicker, and there's not even... You can tell that this is way up here, but this is way down here. So this is like that much meat in it. So it's not technically meat, but that's what they call it. So we just scrape this out. Scrapes out pretty easy. And I'm going to show you another method that I do, and I actually like it better because it's moister. And my mom used to do it when we were kids a lot, but it's a lot more work. This is quite easy, and where I use the lid to put it on, it does stay sort of moist. So we just kind of dump it out like that. And then I don't put anything in it. I used to go ahead and I would do it if you don't have somebody that you want to do some of it different. You can go ahead and put your butter and sprinkle your salt in it. For sure the salt, maybe not the butter, maybe add that later. But then, okay, we've got this little curve here. This is what we were going by, and that's what I was looking. And then on this, I've got the curve right there. So it just makes it so you know it fits just like that. Now I'm going to set this in the microwave for about an hour at 350 and just let it cook. And then I'll take it out and just let it cool. And then when it gets cool enough, all I'll have to do is take the lid off, scrape the good part off of that, and then I'll show you how we do that when I get it going. And so I'll set that right there for right now. Now I'm going to show you the hard way. And I have to use a big butcher knife for that. So, because needless to say, now this is the thin end, so that's the end that I start on. And I'll take this squash and we're going to just divide it in half. And like I say, it's a little on the harder side. And you can break the end. Okay, now we've got it cut in half. Now the trick is I peel these. Okay, we have the second half here, and I find that instead of using the big knife worked best to cut the thing in half. But this is a Cutco knife, and it's serrated. It actually works the best to slice and get your slices of it. And then to peel it, I use my other Cutco knife, which is not serrated, the little paring knife. So basically, and this here half, I went ahead and took the seeds out first. You can do it that way too. There's, basically just do it how you usually do it. We are just cutting this here off, just like we did on the other one. Be careful. I know I'm cutting toward myself, but it's impossible to go away. You have no control. So, like I say, I will go ahead and when I get the rest of this cut up, I'll restart it. I'll take you over to the Instapot, and I'll show you how we go ahead and cook it. There's the squash. This is a very large Instapot. I've got 2 or 3 squash in there, and I won't use it all, but I'm going to freeze some down. Christmas is coming afterwards, so we are going to go ahead and set it for steam, and then I am going to, I don't need to keep warm, so I can shut that off. And I'll put the lid on it when I find it. It's down here. Figures. Okay. Okay, you got to set it down on the thing. This here will actually sits into the notch right there. And then you spin it, and just like that. And you use the valve down if you're steaming, because you're just steaming it, not pressure cooking it. If you were going to pressure cook it, you'd have to turn this here so that it's up. So we're going to leave it down, and should be done in a half an hour. So I have, this is the pumpkin that I've got cooked, and I'll be taking all the goodies out and making a pumpkin custard. I do a custard because then I don't have to worry about a pie crust. And then I use the brown sugar swerve and all that, and I'll show you how I do that. And then in the oven here, I've got it set on an hour at 350, and I got the squash in. So I will, when them get done, I will come back on and show you how we go from here. So, okay, I will catch you later. Okay, well, my squash is cooking here. I'm gonna make my fathead rolls. I've made them one time before, and they are really good. So I will kind of talk you through this. We start off with 4 cups of mozzarella cheese. And then we put 4 ounces of cream cheese with it. And then we are going to put this in the microwave and microwave it for 2 minutes so that it gets nice and soft and gooey, and then we'll stir that. Okay, in the meantime, while that's cooking, we're going to put a cup of coconut flour, and we're going to just kind of put all of our dry ingredients in here. Cup of coconut flour, 1 teaspoon baking powder. Then we have a 1/2 teaspoon of each oregano and basil. Like I say, this is really good. Then 1/4 teaspoon of each parsley and onion powder. And then we've got garlic powder, and that's a 1/2 teaspoon, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And not making this for my mom. It's got too much cheese. Cheese has way too much sodium for her. So, but this will be for everybody else. It's only going to make 12 rolls, so not everybody's going to get one. But people that's not doing keto, they probably don't want one anyway. So it's really good though, especially when you warm it up. And you know, Thanksgiving's 2 days away, so it will be warming it up later. And we have 23 seconds left on the microwave, so it's almost ready. In the meantime, I'm going to clear my counter off here. Okay. So I stirred this here all together. I am going to add 4 eggs to this, but I'm going to check this right now. See if it looks melty enough. I think it does. I'm going to leave it right there. The oven's hot right underneath, so it'll stay warm. While I'm going to go ahead and stir in the 4 eggs. There's 1. And these here eggs are from my neighbors. Farm fresh eggs. 2. Some big, some small. But it works. You know, they're nice and brown. Most of them are brown. There's some blue ones, some white ones. And there's 4 eggs. Now, I'm putting my eggs in my bucket up there, the shells, because them I save. Because what I do with them there is I keep them and they go on my garden. They help keep slugs away. They put calcium back in the soil, which your plants need calcium. So, okay, now this is kind of pasty, but that's what we want. These are rolls, so that's kind of pasty. Then we're going to grab that other and we're going to stir it up. It's going to be pasty also. I can use the same spoon. And I'll use a different one just to make sure. So basically all we do is we stir this here. I got to back up a smidgen, then you can see my head. But as you can see, this just kind of mixes together into kind of and I had my cheese and cream cheese at room temperature when I started, so that kind of helps a little. Okay, now we take and we're gonna mix these here two together. to get everything out of my pans. Don't like to waste anything. I grew up without a lot of money. So basically, we're going to just stir this here all together, and it's just going to kind of turn pasty. And till it's well incorporated with each other. And see, it's just like dough. And then it says to divide this into 12 pieces. Well, I might get 13, I might get 14, I might get 9. I just make. It's supposed to make 12. Okay, it's getting pretty incorporated, and it's just like a good dough. And that's what we want, it to look like a good dough. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to move the eggs out of the way because I'm going to grab my cookie sheet that I already sprayed it with. I like to use coconut oil. Coconut oil is really good. Stuff don't stick. The direction says olive oil. That's another good oil you can use, and it's fine. So basically, now you're just going to take your dough, and you're going to form it into a biscuit, because this is kind of what it's going to look like when we get done. It's not going to raise a whole lot, but it's really good. So flatten it out just a smidgen, make it look like a biscuit. And we'll find out Thanksgiving Day if everybody likes it or if it's just me likes it. Because, there's some people that think they have to have wheat. I haven't been able to have wheat for years because I have a gluten sensitivity. So the bread at Costco that's 0 carbs, well, that sounds real good, but it's got wheat gluten added. But you got to remember, gluten is what activates the yeast. So that bread is very much like regular bread. My husband bought it and he tried it and he said it was really good, but I couldn't even try it because if you got a gluten intolerance, you don't just, yeah. So that's kind of where we are with that. I won't be able to put these in the oven because I got that, but they'll be fine just sitting here on the counter until my squash gets out. These are going to be nice big biscuits. I might have to take some off. Rolls. They almost appeared more like a biscuit when you get all said and done. But what I did with them before, I made keto sausage gravy. And you think, well, how do you thicken a sausage gravy? It had cream cheese in it. It was mostly cream cheese. And I believe I have another video of doing actually these biscuits and the sausage gravy. I can't remember for sure if I posted it or not, but I think I did. Yeah, if I mark keto on here, which I probably do because, some of the people that's coming is also doing keto. They'll try it, but then there's going to be other ones that if it's marked keto, they won't try it just because it's marked keto. So I think a dozen will be enough, even though we're going to have way more than a dozen people here. And I might decide to make another batch. But as of right now, I'll make one and we'll see. it's going to make right at a dozen. I did that just right, didn't I? I'm going to get, just kind of go like this and it picks it right up. Look at that. Okay. We have the 12th one right there. So there we go. We'll cook them up and we'll have an awesome Thanksgiving because I am going to make quite a bit. I'm still got a long list of stuff. I'm checking them off as I go so that I can know that, hey, I'm ready. I'm not ready yet, but it helps when you're making a whole bunch of stuff. So it's going to be fun, and I'll get these in the oven as soon as my oven. It's a very small oven. It's not like I put a lot in. It is one thing at a time. So we will catch you later. Okay, while our squash is cooking and waiting for the oven to get done so that my squash, I can put my biscuits in, I'm going to show you how we get the pumpkin out of our pumpkin. And basically all it is you just scoop it out like so. And it comes out fairly easy. And the squash, when I do the squash, it's going to be the same thing. I'll just pull it out just like so. The one that's in the... Now the one that's in the Instapot, I did the work beforehand. So it'll be easy. It'll be just literally drain a little bit of the water off the bottom because I did put, I suppose, about a cup of water in it. So this, you just scrape it like so. And get all that pumpkin off of there. And that's the, throw that in the garbage. And then just scrape this here out, just like so. I'm going to need about 2 cups of it, so I probably won't get everything scraped out. Some of it I'll probably throw in the freezer unless I think of something else I'm going to make with it, because I'm going to only do one. And it's what the directions call it is a crustless pumpkin pie. I call it pumpkin custard. We've made it for years. Made pumpkin custard, but it's just like a pie because it'll be in squares, and so yep, that should be about enough. So I can get the rest out later. So I'll turn you on in a little bit after I get everything all set up to make my pumpkin custard or crustless pumpkin pie, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this will be, I think it called it low carb on my thing, because I don't think pumpkin is really keto, depending on what type of keto you're doing. Some, I mean, definitely wouldn't be, you could do it on Atkins, way back when, there's what I lost my weight on, but you have to limit yourself because it is got some carbs. You never do 0 carbs unless you're doing a carnivore diet. Then literally you're doing 0 carbs. So, and actually, if you've got some ailments, start with a carnivore diet, and you're just not allergic to the meats. You do the carnivore diet and then gradually introduce other stuff back in, and you'd be amazed at what you might find out is what you can and can't eat and feel good. And that's the important part, is feeling good. So I will shut you off for a little bit and start getting things pre-measured and have it all ready for our pumpkin custard, as I call it. Okay, I am ready to start my pumpkin custard or crustless pumpkin pie, however you want to call it. I like to do it in the blender. I put everything in here and then I blend it and voila, pour it in the pan. So, and then bake it. So, and in, just to let you know, 13 minutes and 40 seconds and my squash should be out of the oven. I can put my biscuits in and then after that I'll put my pie in. It just keeps rotating, right? So, okay, for starters, I'm going to start at the bottom and put the heavy cream in because in a blender it's nice to have the liquid at the bottom. So 1 cup of either unsweetened almond milk or heavy whipping cream. I personally like it best with the heavy whipping cream. So that's what we're doing. Okay. Scoop that out of there. Okay. Then I'm going to put my eggs in. And I need 2 eggs. Green egg and a kind of a light brown egg. Like I say, they come in all colors when you... So, put that up there for my garden. After they dry out, I crush them. Oh, come on. There we go, finally. That happens every once in a while. The shells are a little harder on some of them. So, I'm going to wash my hands real quick. Okay, now I'm going to put in the spices. We've got the 2 eggs. It calls for erythritol, but I use monk fruit, which has some erythritol in it. So it called for a 1/2 cup of that and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And this time, because Mom would be able to eat this if I used no salt, so I'm putting in no salt. And it don't really make any difference. And then it calls for a tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice. And then a teaspoon of cinnamon. And then this, it calls for 1 can of pumpkin, but obviously I used fresh pumpkin, so a can. It says 15-ounce can, so a cup is 8 ounces. So 2 cups would be 16 ounces, so only an ounce difference. So I just did a hair shy of 2 cups. So just put it in there like that. Okay, then we're going to put the lid on it. And I'm going to put you on hold. I'm going to shut you off for a couple seconds because I got my blender, the base. My kitchen's very small, so it's in the other room. So I'll go blend it, and then it's kind of like a pantry. So it's, yeah. So I'm going to step out to actually blend it. So I will be right back. Well, here it is, all blended up nice and pretty. You could also use a blender wand, then their work, because sometimes on store-bought canned pumpkin, that's real smooth already. But when you do the home pumpkin, sometimes it'll be a little stringier and stuff. So the blender really blends it up nice and smooth and works really good. And my oven just beeped, so that would mean my squash is done. So I'll be able to take that out and get something else going. So get a couple of hot pads here. Lost my other hot pad. Use this one. Okay, and there is my squash. Nice and pretty. I'll set it right there to cool. put this in. I gotta find my recipe to find out what temperature it said to cook it. Okay. That I'm supposed to cook at, okay, 425 for not very long, 15 minutes. So I'm going to set the oven for 425. Bake. Temperature up to 425. Time down to, I forgot how, 15 minutes. I remember now. 13, 14, 15. Okay, now it's on. It's down to 14 minutes, so it's cooking. Then I'll be able to put this in. So all I have to do now is I grease the pan. I used this spray, and it was coconut oil again. And it's nice that you let it cool, and then it don't, float up or whatever. When you pour in, it stays put, so you've got your good coating. And just like that, we'll scrape her out good. And that is how you make a crustless pumpkin pie. Keto. There is some carbs in the pumpkin. Like any vegetable has a certain amount of carbs. The 3 vegetables you really want to stay clear of, for sure, corn and white potatoes. Yams or red potato or sweet potatoes. They're better. They're probably about the same as like a squash or a pumpkin or something like that. They've got, there's carbs in it. I mean, there's even carbs in green beans. The ones you got to stay away from totally is white potatoes, corn, and carrots are really high in carbs, but they're also really high in nutrients. So I do them, but just very, in moderation. Well, quite a bit of moderation, a few carrots is good, but you can overdo them real easy. So this year I'm not making carrots to go because I didn't have any in my garden, and everything I'm doing is stuff that come from my garden. So the squash, the pumpkin, the apples. I have several apple trees. Our apples didn't do good this year at all. So I will say that the apples that I'm going to make the apple crisp out of, them actually was one of them food handouts where you get your free food. It happens to be, what was it called? Second Harvest is the name of the one that I got these apples from. So we'll see how that is, and I will talk to you later when that gets out of the oven and this gets cooled off enough, and that I'll come back on to put that in the oven and cook it, and I'll be back. Well, I am back, and my oven beeped and shut off, so it's time to take it out. And here's they look, like I say, they look more like biscuits than rolls, but they're delicious. My husband even said when I told him I was making them, he says, "You're going to make some sausage gravy." It's like, if I have any leftovers. I just counted how many people we're going to have here. We're going to have 12 people. There's 12 rolls. So I'm guessing I'm going to have to make it again for him to have sausage gravy on it. So, but now we are going to stick in our pumpkin custard, as I call it, or crustless pumpkin pie. Doesn't matter what you want to call it, it tastes the same. Okay, and it says, now this here is 15 minutes at 425. And then I reduce it to 350 for 35 to 40 minutes. So we're going to set it at 425 for 15 minutes right now. Bake 425 for 15 minutes. And start. Okay, that's going to cook. And then I'll reduce it and I'll finish cooking it. And then I'll take it out and show it to you when I get it done. Well, I am back and I just took the pumpkin custard or crustless pumpkin pie out of the oven. And to know if it's done, you'll stick a knife into it, and if the knife comes out clean, you know that it's done. And the knife came out nice and clean. See, nice and clean. So it's done. Now I've just got it sitting here on the rack cooling. What I'm going to do now is I got this squash cooked. So I need to take the lid off of the Instant Pot, which it actually pressured, so it's done. And then this here one over here is the one that I did in the oven, and it's nice and done. So basically what I'm going to do is this is going to be Mom's. I'm going to use the no salt in hers, where this one's going to be the rest of them. Mom will have enough for a few days, so she loves squash, and she don't have any trouble chewing it. So I'll make her a fair amount. So I'm going to fill this here up with squash. Now I can use either one. And then I'm going to put a half a stick. I think it's too small for a whole stick. So a half a stick of unsalted butter in it. And then I'm going to sprinkle some of this on it. And that's going to be hers. So you basically just take some out of here. She loves it when I make her some squash. I think it's her favorite food other than bread. The bread I make, she must be close to her favorite. She goes through it quite a bit. I think the elderly do like to eat bread because it's easy. And, just cooking for themselves, they want something to just grab and go. She likes the squash because the hard part's been done, so all she has to do is warm it up. She uses a microwave. I usually use the oven when I warm things up, or a slow cooker or something. I try not to use microwaves too much. So that can go there. And then we just pull this here out. So just get some. And then, actually not stir it until, I might stir it because it's hot enough that it'll melt the butter. So I might be able to stir it before. But usually I stir it just after it's heated up. Because 2 days till it's actually Thanksgiving. So I'm just trying to get a bunch of stuff done because there's no way I could get this all done in one day, half a day, because we eat at noon. So I'll get up early in the morning and put everything in slow cookers. My husband actually smoked, and I can't do a video of it. He don't want to be videoed, but he smoked 2 turkeys. He used 2 different recipes, and one was a wild turkey and one was a tame turkey. And did you know that the breast of a wild turkey is brown meat, but the breast of a tame turkey is white meat? So definitely a difference. It cooks up about the same. Tame turkey has a nice wide breast. Wild turkey has a narrow breast. But yeah, it cooks up very similar. So it looks like I'm gonna almost get this whole one in this here pan. So maybe I should use a full stick if it's a whole squash, because I usually do. It's not quite a whole squash, but she likes it buttery, and I like it buttery, so I think I'll use the whole stick. So how I do that is I will just shake some no salt on top. She says it don't need salt. Yeah, I'll put some salt on top. And then we just squish this here down into it. And then when it melts, I'll stir it later. So, voila, it's all ready to warm up Thanksgiving morning for her, already ready to go. So I will put that out in my garage. My garage is, it's a basement garage, so it stays about, all winter long, about 40. It's above freezing almost the whole time. If it really drops down and gets 60 below, it'll freeze in the garage, but otherwise it don't. So it's just like a refrigerator out there right now. So I can just set this here out in the garage and it'll be ready. I've got a table out there, and I'm going to put everything on it so that I make sure that I get everything upstairs when it comes time on Thursday. So I'll have it all ready. So that's how I did my mom's. Now, mine, I've got it's a little bit on the warm side, so I need hot pads. And I'm going to drain that little bit of moisture off of it that I not much. I'm going to have to grab, maybe I'll just use the lid of hers. It's all squash. And this don't have salt in it yet either. So I'm going to just hold it in with that lid and drain the water off. Voila. Now this, and whatever I have left over, I'm going to freeze because, yeah. So whatever's going to fit in here, this will take a good stick of butter, and I'm going to do the same thing, only I'm going to use regular salt, and I'm going to use a stick of butter, probably two, maybe more than a stick of butter in this one. So basically, it's a lot softer. It's already, moister. So a stick of butter will probably be plenty because it is so moist. So we are going to just, there, just comes out like that. Maybe it'll fill the pan up. I don't know. I don't know where we'll be at. This is a big pan, so it's got a couple of, yeah, it's not going to quite all fit. It's going to almost all fit. And when I freeze it, I don't add any salt or anything because that way I can use it for Mom. It's going to be everything. Just trying not to get the moisture in the bottom. Letting it stay back. We want it moist, but we don't want it too moist. But this, I didn't make any too much. There might be some left after Thanksgiving, and obviously it's going to be already seasoned. But yeah, it's like blends up much easier, and it's moister. So I'm going to grab a stick of butter or so, and we're going to stick it in there. It's so moist that I'm sure one stick's going to be plenty. Flavor-wise, two might be better. But we'll just stick it down in there. Yeah, we got room. I'm going to put 2 in. Then I can check them off my list. I get to check. I still got to do the apple crisp, but we're getting there. Okay, and so this here, as soon as I warm it up in the slow cooker, I'll stir it before we actually serve. So get a little salt here. I use sea salt, and we'll just sprinkle some on top. That should be good. This should be good. I love squash. It's one of my favorites is squash. So we will, actually it's so hot that I might just let that sit and stir it before I heat it up. But right now I can put the lids on them and just like that. Perfect. Now I've got to still do my asparagus, and I'm going to do broccoli, and then I've got my apple crisp yet to do, and I don't know what else is on my list, but I got stuff on my list. So we'll see if I get it all done. I might not get it all done. Then it is what it is. So, okay, sounds great. I will catch you later. I'll probably scrape the last little bit of that out for Mom maybe today. She would like some squash today, I'm sure. So I'll just put it in a little casserole dish and she'll have her supper. We will catch you later. And if you like what you see, like it and share it and subscribe. And I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.